Pastor Grady, and welcome to my channel, Candid Conversations with me, yours truly, Pastor Linda Grady. And guess what? We got a great show for you tonight. But before we talk about the show, get in a little bit deeper about the show, I need you to go ahead and click on that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel so that I can keep you up to date with all of the wonderful shows and topics that we got coming at you. And I promise you, you'll never be disappointed. So go ahead right now, click on that button, subscribe to my channel. And as I said before, you know what? We got a great show for you tonight. I have a guest tonight, a young lady, beautiful young lady, and she's going to be talking about her journey with lupus. Lupus is one of those diseases that we've always heard of, but most people don't know what lupus really is, especially in our community, the African American community. We don't know what is going on when it comes to lupus. But tonight she's going to shed a lot of light on that, and I need you to sit back and relax and enjoy the show tonight as we talk about lupus. Welcome to the show tonight, Ms. Keva Napper. Keva, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you so much.
You're so gorgeous.
So are you.
You are so gorgeous. And we're going to be talking tonight about lupus.
Yeah.
And you got a story to tell. I had the pleasure of meeting you a couple of weeks ago.
Yes,
my producer actually came to me after you had spoken, I believe, at our school, and she was just really blown away with your testimony and the fact that even though you're going through such a serious disease, she was talking about you don't carry yourself like it, but you had so much light and so much income. Income.
Yeah, well, speak it.
Yeah, let's speak that.
I see it. Thank you.
Insight about lupus, and she was just really blown away. So she invited you, and you came and you shared with the church, and I was just really taken aback with your story, and most of all, your approach to this living with this disease in your life. Will you talk to me a little bit about lupus and how you found out that you had contracted the disease? But before we talk about lupus, tell me a little bit about you. Let's talk about you.
Okay. Well, my name is Keva Brooks Napper. I am 43 years old.
And you don't look like 43, okay?
I am married to Keva Napper. I've been married. It'll be 19 years in November.
Wow. And
we don't have any children. And, born and raised in Greensboro, pretty much been here all my life. Graduate of North Carolina Central University, Eagle Park. And I'm an educator. My heart is working and teaching with children, elementary ed. I'm a PK. My father became a pastor when I was 6 weeks old.
Wow.
So I didn't join in, I was born in.
You was born in. That's all you've ever known. That's how my daughter was. Born right in.
Born in.
Yeah.
And so, no matter how old I get or what I do, everybody's just like, oh, there's little Keva at the church.
Yeah.
That's just how they see me. And just had the pleasure of seeing, meeting, traveling, experiencing ministry on all levels with my parents. I have a brother, older brother, Kevin, and 5 nieces and nephews. Wow. I do have one nephew that passed last year at 24 years old. Wow. So still just going through the grieving process with that. But, I love all things. Yeah. I love all genres of music.
Yeah, I love the way that you love life.
Right.
Yeah.
Why not experience life?
Yeah.
And I think part of the one reason why is, my parents wanted us to be open. They didn't want us to just be church. Even though we went to church, they still wanted us to experience life. And
that's how I was with my daughter. I made sure that her life was not just church.
Right.
And one of the things that blessed me the most is we have a young lady in our church. She came in, and her life, her parents are pastors as well. But everything was church, and they didn't let her participate in anything outside of church. And she was sharing, we had a sleepover one night at church, and she was sharing with me, and she just broke down in tears, and she just said, I love the way that you and Bishop Grady support your daughter, and the way that you let her be a real person and not just a church person. She talked about playing softball and having to play in a dress and a skirt because that's how it was for her family. Everything was just church.
So
I admire what you say about how your parents made sure that y'all were well balanced as Christian kids or PK kids.
Yeah, I even was a cheerleader.
Wow.
And my high school was a predominantly black school, so we cheered like we were a predominantly black school.
Yeah.
And I, as I stated, I went to Central HBCU.
Yeah. Did you cheer there as well?
I cheered my freshman year.
Okay.
And we cheered like in HBCU, and I just brought that up recently to my father because I was like, you couldn't even watch me cheer. The first time he came to watch me cheer, he just hit me on the back like, good job, and walked away. He couldn't hug me, he couldn't look me in the eye. He was like, good job, like, one of the boys, good job, girl, and left. Like, didn't want to go out, hang out, take out to eat, nothing. I was like, Dad, it's okay. He was like, no, I can't do this. It was just a little too much, but I got to experience.
My daughter cheered too, but she went to Northern, predominantly white, so so they didn't cheer like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could do the techniques. We did competitions. I could do that, but we could do the other stuff too. But anyway, full spectrum and things. But one of the reasons I think why living life is so important is because I've been on the other side where I almost died because of this invisible illness called lupus. So I was diagnosed in 2003 with systemic lupus erythematosus. That's the SLE. That's the medical name. And I didn't know much about it. I didn't really know anybody with it. I didn't have like a ton of friends I could call or, reach out and just be like, hey, can y'all give me advice? Can you help me? I didn't have that. Yeah. And so I went into a shell, kind of shut down, didn't talk about it, didn't share it with I probably told less than 10 family members. And just kind of took the medicine and went on as if nothing had happened. No diagnosis or anything. And the symptoms...
So when you first got diagnosed and they was giving you this huge name,
right?
What was your thoughts? What was going through your head at that time?
I didn't expect it, so I felt blindsided.
Yeah.
So confusion, just numbness. I think overall I was numb because, like I said, I felt blindsided.
Yeah.
The symptoms that I had to even go to the doctor, I had a fever that wouldn't break for 5 days straight. It was at least 102. I was very lethargic. I had extreme fatigue. Just did not want to get out of the bed. I only got out of the bed to get up and get something to eat. And my eating was, like soup.
Yeah.
And take a shower, and then I would get right back in the bed. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the energy to do anything. And then I started losing hair in the back of my head.
Wow.
So, and it wasn't like shedding, it was raw.
And this is all before you went to the doctor?
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
So that had to be really frightening.
It was. Yeah. It was just like, what's going on?
Wow.
Like if this is a joke, stop playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just laid in the bed for those 5 days. I wasn't coughing, sneezing, so it wasn't like the flu. And I was just like, I wasn't familiar with those symptoms because it wasn't like the flu. It's just like, okay, I felt like I had been hit by a truck.
Yeah.
By 18-wheeler, like it just flat out ran me over and I couldn't move. So I couldn't really explain those symptoms because I wasn't familiar.
Absolutely, yeah.
And eventually went to the doctor, and the doctor took blood and was testing me for lupus, and they didn't even tell me.
Wow.
So I went back home, and eventually they called me, and they said, you tested positive for lupus.
Wow.
And I'm like, who? What?
Yeah, lupus, what is this?
Right. And then I'm like, am I going to die? Because I didn't know much about it. Yeah. And then like it's an autoimmune disease. Then they give you all these papers and pamphlets. And it's just like, okay, am I in school again? Because I got to learn all this stuff. I got to
study what's going on with me.
Study what's going on. Readjust my life. There's a new norm. So not only do I have a new diagnosis, but then I have to, adjust and find this new norm and then be willing to accept what they're saying. Yeah. And it's just like, this is too much.
Wow.
So you just kind of shut down and don't deal with it. And that's pretty much where I was. So I did go on the internet. The very thing I shouldn't have done.
Oh, yeah.
I went on the internet and it was just like...
And then you're more confused than ever.
I was just like, oh my... I'm looking at stuff like, oh my God! Because you see all kinds of crazy stuff. And then I had to shut that down. I said, okay, I'm not doing that.
The internet will help you die
Yeah. Oh, I was just like, oh, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Because they're showing you everything, and you don't know what you should be looking at, and of course your eyes are going to be drawn to the more negative thing of what the disease can do.
Right, all of the ugly images, and I was like, "That's what my skin's gonna look like. That's what my hair is gonna look like. Like what? You know." And there are no two cases that are identical concerning this disease, so that didn't necessarily mean me. You know, so it's just a matter of education and learning. But I got the medicine that I needed at that time, and just stayed quiet.
So you said lupus is an autoimmune disease. Will you explain that for our
viewers? It affects your immune system. So for lupus, it's not something that's contagious. I can't sit here and you catch it just by sitting next to me. Okay. I can't cough, sneeze, touch you, not blood to blood, not by, anything like that, any type of contact. Okay. You cannot, get lupus because of that. But it does affect my immune system, where my immune system doesn't know the good cells from the bad cells, so it fights all of them. So there's a constant war going on in the body all day, every day.
Wow.
All day, every day. It's at war. Wow. And lupus is also, it's not cancer, and it's also not like AIDS. Okay. And with the immune system, with AIDS, it's underactive. Okay. But because lupus can't tell, the cells can't tell the good from bad, it's overactive, constantly fighting. So that's the difference between AIDS and
So lupus. Is it like your body overheals itself, or with?
I wouldn't say overheal. Okay. Overfight. Okay. but not. Actually, it takes longer to heal because the immune system does so much and is so overactive. Like if you get a cold, you might heal in a week. Okay. With lupus patients, it might take us 3 weeks to a month to heal what took you a week, or longer for us.
Wow.
So it can take longer for the basic thing to heal for us.
So then you get diagnosed, and then more symptoms come?
Yeah. So the following year, that was 2003. In 2004, I was sitting in church. And while the guest preacher, which was Bishop Neil C. Ellis, was preaching, I started having a grand mal seizure. Now, a grand mal, M-A-L, seizure is the strongest type of seizure you can have. I never had a seizure before, like ever. So I started having a seizure, and I started stretching out and sliding down in my seat, and started going in and out of consciousness. And my family members around me jumped up, came around, started, attending to me. And we had a doctor who was singing in the music ministry. So my mom motioned for him, and he instantly came down and was able to help me until 911 got there. Wow. And that within itself was, something major that helped me, because he was able to know she's having a seizure, what's going on. And they were able to get me out of the sanctuary and take me to the side. And I had another seizure while I was on the side. Wow. And I was in and out of consciousness, like I said, and I remember waking up and they were trying to calm me down because I was scared. I didn't know what was going on, what was happening. And they took me to the hospital, and at the hospital, I remember at one point they told my family, we put so much medicine in her, she can't break and have another seizure, because they couldn't figure out why I was having seizures. Definitely not so strong. My blood pressure, cholesterol, everything was fine. They couldn't figure out why. So they said, we have to go out here and meet and talk and see if we can, come together, put our minds together and figure out what could this possibly be. And they put the bed rails down on the hospital bed and just let my family stand around me. And lo and behold, I still broke through. I broke through the medicine and started having a really strong seizure. And my dad had to hold me on one side, my brother on the other, because I was jerking and shaking really hard. And my mom had to run and scream for help. Wow. And they came back in, and at that point decided to put me in ICU and basically medically induce me to a coma state.
Well, how long were you in that coma?
Just a day. It was a little over 24 hours. Okay. It was just a day till they could calm me and keep me from having seizures and figure out what was causing it. And during that time, they were able to scan and do everything So they did an MRI and everything else because I couldn't go into the machine having those seizures.
Yeah.
And they were able to look at my brain and see that I had 2 blood clots on the left frontal lobe, and that's what was caused because of the blockage. It was causing me to have the seizures.
What did they do for the blood clots? They gave you thinners?
They did.
Okay. Wow. So now you got this new symptom of the seizure. Were there any other symptoms that came after that, or is that the time where the medication began to balance things out?
Yeah. You can actually, even with that, they gave me a second diagnosis.
Okay.
I was diagnosed with protein S deficiency, which is where I can't have a lot of protein K. I can't eat a lot of greens.
Wow.
So I take blood thinners every day to kind of balance out and get my blood levels checked on a constant basis. I actually went today.
Okay.
And got my blood levels checked.
Everything's looking good.
My blood levels, my INR is what they call it,
Okay.
when they time how long it takes your blood to clot.
Okay.
And my levels today concerning that were good. And so that was something new. So I see a hematologist concerning that now.
Wow.
And they were like, this is something else that's going on, something else that's rare, and the doctor said I was like an alphabet bowl of soup. He was like, no matter what you do, you're going to always pick up something and you can never tell what it's going to be. He was like, it's always going to be something different.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay, thank you. And he was just like, you're rare. He said, but we're just going to say that you're unique and special.
Absolutely.
And so I said, I'll go with that, because everything that has happened to me has been rare. It's been rare and I guess unique in a different kind of way.
Wow.
And so we went with that. That was that. And I definitely have had more symptoms. I've had inflammation, pleurisy of the heart and lungs, which is inflammation where you feel like you're having a heart attack and you're not. It's just swelling and inflammation. And that is not a good feeling at all.
Yeah.
I've had the joint pain where I literally couldn't walk.
Wow.
Couldn't walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night, had to crawl. I've had the skin rashes. I've had almost everything. There's a list of things, and literally everything on that list I've experienced, including a miscarriage.
Wow.
Pretty much all of those things.
Wow. So getting diagnosed and all of the symptoms and all of the things that are going on with your body, how are you emotionally at this place in your life? Did you go into depression?
I haven't gone into depression. I think everything for me has just simply been battlefield of the mind. I think, and one thing that I always tell or encourage everybody is your first fight is in your mind first. And before I can fight physically, I have to fight mentally.
Yes.
Because if I don't, I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't make it. There was one time where I was teaching, and because of pain that I was having, I was on steroids. And the steroids started affecting my eyesight.
Wow.
And it hit at a crazy time. And I was standing in the back of the classroom, and I could not read the board. Just like that.
Wow.
I still had to drive, like the whole nine. I was not in the city that I live in, so it was just so many different factors. And I was like, I can't freak out. I can't let the kids know. Just so many different things. And the way that it can blindside you, that's why I say it can blindside you in the middle of, just a regular day. You have to adjust daily. There is no new norm. Everything can just change. So I had to figure out, what am I going to do? I can't see. It's blurry. I literally cannot read the numbers on the board.
Wow.
Literally. There was a time I was flying, and by the time the plane landed, I couldn't hear. Okay, well, your ears popped.
Yeah.
But by the time I got to the car, by the time we got to where we were going, several days later, I could not hear. I had started losing my hearing temporarily because of medicines. They ended up putting like temporary tubes in. Then one of the tubes ended up getting infected and started growing, attaching to something else. So I had to have like a type of surgery where they had to go in and pull it out. where I could not be put to sleep. Jesus. So I could feel I don't even want to relive that moment. Mm-hmm. But just like things like that, mm-hmm. those kind of symptoms, I don't wish on my worst enemy. Yeah. Because it's extreme pain, but you have to fight with your mind first. Another thing is I had a heart cath earlier this year. I thought I was going to be asleep. They gave me the medicine to go to sleep. It had no effect on me. They were already in. Jesus. And they gave me another, they said, hit her again. And the guy was like, all right. And I was like, ooh. Did like this? And I was like, nothing. He was like, one more time. And the guy was like, you should be completely drunk by now. And I was not. It literally had no effect on me, but they were already in and couldn't change that.
What was the reason for that? Was that because of having so many different medications in your body?
I do have a high tolerance.
Okay.
But this was just, even like the doctors apologized so much. And once again, mm-hmm. what they told me was that was rare. Mm-hmm. And once they got in, the cath was the same size as my arteries. Wow. So my arteries would clamp down on the cath. So it was excruciating pain, and I was awake. Not only could I feel it, I could see it because you're watching everything, mm-hmm. and I literally couldn't move. I mm-hmm. couldn't scream, couldn't holler because you didn't want your blood pressure to go up and down. And they were doing everything, going to my heart on both. They did both ventricles, and because I didn't have time to prep myself prior to, mm-hmm. in that moment, of course I was praying, but I also had to switch and mentally fight mm-hmm. because I couldn't physically do anything. Yeah. And my pain level was on a scale of 1 to 10, 1,000. Wow. And it was really, really, really bad. To the point that they did one thing where they said, this is going to be really, really hot. And they said, it's going to feel like you're pulling, say like you're baking cookies, mm-hmm. and you're pulling it out of the oven without a mitt on your hand. And you're going to have to hold it for about 15 to 20 seconds. Straight out of the oven with nothing on your hand. And that is what it felt like for 20 to 15 seconds. Wow, my God. And I'm wide awake.
Oh, my goodness.
And I can't scream. I can't holler. I don't want my blood pressure going up because they're messing with my heart. Yeah. And I had to mentally, and I told them, I said, give me 5 seconds before you do it. Because I had to challenge myself. So in those moments like that, like you have to be mentally strong. Mm-hmm. You have to be in a position to fight. Mm-hmm. Because if not, I would have done something that would have damaged the whole.
Could have done more damage. Wow.
Yeah. And I do little things, meditation, mm-hmm. Affirmations, daily affirmations, listening to music. When I'm driving.
I got your prayer book right over there. I come in here every morning. This is my little prayer room where I like to come in here and pray and meditate. So I got your prayer book right there. And that prayer book was birthed out of this season of your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to the simple fact, my mother has notebooks on top of notebooks on mm-hmm. top of notebooks of just little prayers. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm sick of looking at all these notebooks. We're going to do something. Yeah. And we could probably write 4 or 5 more volumes to that one. Wow. So I was just like, come on.
Your mother's beautiful. She has such a beautiful spirit.
I think so too. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't dealt with depression. I've dealt with moodiness. Mm-hmm. Lupus can make you moody. Medicines mm-hmm. can make you moody. Yeah. And because the pains can blindside mm-hmm. you, it's hard some days to put on a face when you're hurting. Mm-hmm. That can be extremely difficult. Just trying to, it's sometimes easier to pretend that you're okay because you don't want to answer to the what's wrong. Yeah. It's sometimes too hard to explain what's really wrong when people don't really understand. So you put on a facade of being okay, but you're not. Yeah. But you're really not.
Oh, I understand that. I understand being a first lady.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So you don't look like what you've been through.
Well, thank you.
You don't. And that was the thing when you were at my church and you were talking about your plight, and I kept looking at you, just thinking, you don't look like what you've been through. You don't act like what you've been through. You don't have this woe is me kind of spirit. You know, you're not walking around with the attitude that life owes me something. And a lot of people that have been sick for a while, they go into that mode of life owes me something, or I feel bad for myself, or somebody should feel sorry for me. But you don't carry yourself like that. And it all has to be because of your upbringing and who you are in Christ.
Yeah, I definitely believe that, because God didn't have to give me another chance.
Yeah.
So since He did, I'm going to live my best life
Absolutely,
while I have
girl.
it,
Yes, girl.
So, I don't, what is woe is me going to bring me? Negativity, and being that I don't know when my last day is, being that I've been so close to it more than once, why would I want to spend my last moments like
you're ministering to me? You're ministering to me, and you're ministering to so many people.
But it's just, to me, it's not worth. When you've been at that point, when you've seen a death angel, when you've had an out of body experience, when you have medical bills stacked up on top, when you're constantly going to the doctor and they're saying this is unique, this is rare, and you see that you have another day that you can get up and you can go out and you can do something productive, why wouldn't I? I don't know if that's going to be it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spend it being bored, being negative, arguing, doing dumb, irrelevant things.
Yeah.
Girl, that's not worth my legacy. It's not.
That's right.
It's not worth my name. It's not. It's not worth my time. That's not worth my imprint. Like, why?
You are such a jewel.
Thank you.
You are such a jewel.
I don't understand why people would think otherwise. Why not? There's too much out here to do.
Yeah.
There's too much light, too many places to see, too many people to help. Like, there are so many people. I've been through a lot, but there are other people that I work with, and I'm just like, how can I help you? Because I feel like they are 1,000 times worse off than me.
Wow.
And they're like, but you have, and I'm like, but do you realize what you're going through? Like, I don't see me like that. The way people say certain things about me, I don't see me like that. So sometimes I do get teary-eyed when they're talking to me, but I don't see me like that. I don't.
But you are. Speaking of help, you help a lot of people, and you got an organization now that you've started, a nonprofit.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. But before we do, let's just take a little bit of break for a second. We're going to be coming back, and we're going to be talking about her organization. It is awesome, and I'm going to be walking in that. And but let's just take a little bit of break. We got a women's conference coming up. It's called Sisters with Swords. It's coming up in July, and we're going to take a little break right now. I want you to watch the commercial. God bless. So we're back. Listen, I hope you enjoyed that. make sure that you attend our Women's Conference, Sisters with Swords, in July 2019. You don't want to miss it. We got some amazing speakers. But while I'm talking about amazing, let's get back to this amazing lady. And she's going to be talking to you about her organization. Come on, let's talk about the organization and what's going on with that.
Yeah, so Beautiful Butterflies Incorporated. It's a nonprofit lupus foundation that I started in 2011. I started it because there wasn't a lupus independent foundation in the Triad area, and I wanted to have something in the area that could give information, awareness, and also have like that support group. Yeah. Specifically for minorities, and that's what we do. We provide education, we inspire, we have support and resources, and we generally do 3 major events a year. Okay. So we do a 5K walk. Wow. Which I'm going to be walking in this year. Okay. We do a 5K walk. We do a golf tournament, and we do a lupus awareness luncheon. We also have our monthly support group, which is open to invisible illnesses, not just lupus. So we have people with MS, fibromyalgia, migraine headaches, rare cancers. Then their caregivers, friends, family members, they all come to support group, and we keep everything confidential that happens in support group. We have therapists who come in. We have people who come in to do different rehabs. We talk a little bit about everything. So things that they might say, oh, hey, can we talk about this? And I'll find somebody to come in and talk. Okay. And so we do a little bit of everything in the support group. But more importantly, we go out within the community and just help spread awareness at the schools, wherever churches, you know, different events, health and wellness fairs. We do all of it. And one thing is, prior to this, a lot of people didn't know that lupus affects 90% of the effects are on women. And the age group is, the average age is 15 to 44, but it can affect, of course, you know, any age range. But it's mostly minority women, and it's 3 times more likely to be an African-American woman. So I really wanted to just give back to the community and give information to the community.
So they don't know why it's more likely to affect an African-American woman?
Yeah, some of they're looking at different things. It can be environment, it could be, you know, they're looking at genetics. Yeah. Some of the things they're looking at all of those things. Okay. Okay.
Wow. And so with your organization, how, if someone's watching, they want to be a part or want to sell into your organization, how can they contact that?
They can go to our website, which is www.mybeautifulbutterflies.com. And once you go on the website, there's a donate button. There's also an email if you would like to contact us, and there's a telephone number as well.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why did you call it My Beautiful Butterflies?
So, butterflies, generally, sometimes people who deal with lupus get a butterfly rash across the nose bridge and their cheeks. And that's one way that sometimes people know they have lupus, is because of that butterfly rash. And the butterfly is also a symbol of hope. And so I wanted to connect it to butterflies. I didn't want to call it Keva's Butterflies. I kind of felt like that was corny. And so, but I wanted it to be connected to me, because there are a lot of different groups. And my grandmother was, you know, she's of course Black, but she was also Native American and Irish. And in the Irish origin, my name Keva means beautiful. So I named it Beautiful Butterflies.
Oh, my name means beautiful too.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So that's how I came up with it.
Wow. And I'm so proud of you.
Well,
I am so proud of you. I don't know you that well, but what I do know, I love. And I am proud of you for standing. I'm proud of you for being an example and a voice of hope. And I am so excited about where God is taking you with Beautiful Butterflies. So what else is on the horizon for you, for Keva?
Oh man, I do have some things I'm working on. Some of it's confidential. We can't talk about yet. We have some contracts, some non-disclosures As Beyonce was saying, that we can't talk about, but we do have some major projects that we are working on. But we always want to do bigger and better. We're always looking to improve and expand and expand our territory of who we are helping.
Yeah.
So we are expanding also into the mental health field. Dealing with depression is an invisible illness as well. So we are doing more in that area. We have started partnering and doing a 5K walk with mental health awareness as well.
Wow.
And dealing more with depression, anxiety, and things of that nature.
Depression is so it's so subtle. It comes when sometimes, for like my husband suffered with it for 6 years, and it came out of, to me, it seemed out of the blue. His mother passed, and after that, he was never able to bounce back for 6 years. He's gotten himself back on track now, but he's still fighting. He's still fighting. But it's one of those things that we don't deal with in the African American community.
Absolutely.
So I'm so glad that you're taking this approach to address that.
Yeah, it's in the faith-based community and in the African American community,
absolutely.
we don't deal with it, and you can get it or deal with it because of medicines. Like when you're dealing with a chronic illness, because you're tired of hurting, you're tired of taking medicine, you're tired of people not understanding that. You know, because you can't see my illness doesn't mean I'm faking. Or because I'm tired and I want to lay down doesn't mean I'm lazy. Or because I park in a handicapped spot and when I get out of my car, I don't look handicapped to you. You know, doesn't mean that I have a false need for this handicapped parking space. So you say cruel things. You know, people don't understand those types of things. But you can't see that I may have a blood clot in my lungs. You can't see that I may be dealing with COPD, and the energy that it takes for me to walk from that parking space to the curb may feel like the length of a football field to me. My breathing may be that heavy, may be that hard. People don't understand that. They don't know that. You can't see. That's why it's called invisible. You don't know what's going on the inside of me, the blood flow, the joint pains, the clotting, the different things. You can't see that. And people are inconsiderate, they're rude, they're ignorant, and they say mean things. So because of those things, people deal with depression. You know, they deal with depression because it costs money to buy medicine. They deal with depression because they have to take off work to go to the doctor. Sometimes they lose their jobs. You know, all of these medical bills stack up and it becomes one thing on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other, and then you go into depression. And so it becomes another invisible illness that you're dealing with on your plate of, I've already had too much to deal with. You know, so that is something that we do talk about in our support group. How do you handle depression? You know, when you kind of go down that path, what are some things that you do to feel like, okay, I'm heading down that path, but I want to stop where I am right now. You know, how do I deal with anxiety? You know, because depression and anxiety,
they go hand in hand.
They are cousins, first cousins.
Absolutely.
You know, so how do we deal with that? And those are things that we extensively talk about. But we don't like talking about it because everything is let's just pray it away. But it is a legit illness. It's not just, you know.
And I saw it firsthand, 6 years. But what I didn't realize when my husband was going through it, I didn't realize that I, too, on a low-key level, was actually going through depression with him because I felt hopeless. I felt like, you know, I've done everything. I've prayed. I've spoken tongues out. I've out, you know,
sprinkled everything.
The blood of Jesus, oil all over there, everything shining. But and I didn't realize that low key I was going through depression, and to the point where I just stopped being me. And stopped taking care of myself. I gained 30 pounds. I don't get my hair done anymore. I do it. And I don't even know why. Some days don't even want to leave out the house. And just find it comfortable not to be around people.
Right.
And so now I'm coming out of it because I took care of him so much. I mean, everything in my power that I could do to help him get out of that state. But I didn't realize that I was depressed too. So I'm coming out of it now. And I know that it's something that people can't see because I have the amazing ability because of first ladies. You know, we're almost superwoman, you know, to a certain degree. And I have the amazing ability to put this smile on my face and to walk around and talk to people and hug them and embrace them and help them and cheer them on. And nobody ever knows that I'm really depressed. You know, I'm really sad on the inside. And so people will look at it and they don't think that you're going through anything. And as a Christian, as what happened with my husband is, you know, you're a bishop. We ain't gonna talk about this. Ain't nobody gonna understand. And as you said, it is one of those things that you just suppress and you don't talk about, but it needs to be addressed.
It has to. Too many people are dying.
Yeah.
It has to.
It has to. So you're doing wonderful and great things. And I promise you, everything that God has allowed you to go through is not in vain. And you will never know the multitude of the lives that you have touched, will touch, and are touching right now. And it's the people that are watching. And they've been diagnosed. Or they know someone that's been diagnosed. They're fearful. They're angry. They're unsure and don't know, you know, am I going to live? Am I going to die? I got all these symptoms. I don't know what to do with it. I want you to look at that camera and I want you to talk to them and offer them some hope and let them know that, you know, this is not a death sentence, but it's an opportunity to live.
Wow. Well, for those of you who are watching who may have gotten a diagnosis, whether it be recently or you've been diagnosed for a while, the diagnosis doesn't define who you are. You define who you are. Because you define who you are, stand in front of the mirror and speak to yourself. Affirm who you are. I am beautiful. I am wise. I am confident. I am creative. I am God's child. Just speak over yourself. Speak positive things over yourself every day, even when you don't feel it, even when you don't see it. Continue to speak things over your life until you see it manifest. That disease, it's not who you are. It's not who you are. Continue to walk in the things that you know God has called you to be. For me, there are days I have rough days. There are days I don't feel like getting out of the bed. There are days I don't feel like doing anything. But I have to surround myself with a support system who will call me, talk to me on the phone until they hear me walking around the house, moving about, getting in my car, and saying, okay, Keva, we need to hear you moving. We need to know that you're doing X, Y, and Z. Get a support system. If it's one person, 2 people. But get some people who will help hold your arms up when you don't have the strength to hold it up yourself. Get some people who will speak positive things in your ear when you don't have the strength to speak it to yourself.
Wow. Listen.
You have to have somebody who will help carry you because you can't always do it by yourself. You can't do this journey by yourself. So find people who will be that support system. Keep the negative people, the negative talk. Cut it off today. Today, it stops. Today, you start your new journey. Today, you redefine what your journey looks like. And it's all positive moving forward. It's all positivity going forward from this moment forward. Everything shows hope. Everything shows joy. The biggest thing, fight for your peace. Fight for your peace. Battlefield of the mind. If you don't have peace of mind, if you don't fight for it, where is it going to come from?
Wow.
Nobody else is going to give it to you.
Wow.
So I speak joy in your life. I speak peace
Yes.
in your life. I speak that you walk with confidence. You stand with your head high. You know who you are, and you know that the disease, the challenges that you have, they don't define you. You define who you are. So since you define who you are, what definition are you writing for your life? What does your definition say?
Wonderful.
If I was to open Webster and look at your picture, what's the definition beside it? What's it going to say? I know what mine says, and I know it's nothing negative. I know it's all good things. It's amazing things. It's positive things. And I know that daily I walk in God's peace because I'm God's girl. I'm the apple of his eye. He gives me strength even when I don't feel it. So continue to have hope, continue to have joy, and know that he definitely has your best interest in mind. And know that he loves you daily. And you're covered. Keep thriving no matter what. God bless you.
That was good advice. Somebody's feeling so hopeful now. I'm going to tell you, you are such a positive influence. Just a positive influence and a positive voice. I am so glad I met you.
I'm glad I met you too.
I am so glad that I met you. I mean, you're just like this big ray of sunshine.
Because I don't yellow. You're not the big sun.
No pun intended. But no, really, you're just like this big ray of sunshine and hope. And for people that are going through, they need to see someone that can go through gracefully and still keep God at the forefront of their life and still keep a smile in their heart. And I know it's not this for you every day,
Right.
but for the most part, that's how you are able to maintain and to walk out this journey. So, Keva, thank you so much.
Thank you
for being on my show. You are such a blessing, and I love you. I love everything about you. Well, you know what? I hope that this show tonight helped you in some way. In fact, I know that it had to because it helped me. She's so positive that some of the things that she was saying touched me for right now, for this season that I'm in my life. And I just need you to just take what was said tonight and just put that in your heart and just know that just because you may be going through something, it doesn't mean that that's who you are and that you can live beyond this and that you can have a good, solid, balanced life. So just remember that, okay? And thank you so much for tuning into the show tonight. I hope that it was a blessing to you. In fact, well, I know it was a blessing. But before we go, I need you to go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you can keep getting great shows like this, positive shows that's going to help you to grow in life. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button and then give me a thumbs up if you really like the show tonight, because it's because of you that I keep coming back. So give me a thumbs up. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this show, and I know that I enjoyed you tuning in. So please tune in next week. We got another great show for you. God bless you. I love you so much. Y'all be blessed. Bye-bye.